Hello everyone, welcome to Open Mind Intuitions. This is the mind of Lilith, and thank you for joining me for your general collective reading. Spirit guides, what important message does the collective need to hear? What do they need to know? Message for the collective, please. The Four of Swords, grounded by the Five of Cups. So some of you guys are taking a necessary break from a relationship or a situation that has you feeling lost, dejected, rejected, regretful, remorseful, sad. We are in retrograde season, so the Five of Cups can sometimes indicate looking back to the past or being unable to move on from the past because we have not psychologically disconnected from the trauma. So this is the head space and the heart space. The heart space is still stuck in that vortex of whatever energies you were in when you were dealing with this experience that was unpleasant for you, and now you're psychologically taking a break from whatever your heart has not released. So some of you guys could have been avoiding dealing with this pain. You could have worked through it or used work to avoid dealing with some sort of emotional turmoil or baggage or regret. This is you kind of rationalizing your emotions and trying to think your way through them as opposed to really processing them holistically. So this retrograde cycle is allowing you to reassess and reevaluate past situations that have you in this space where you could be depressed, you could feel lost, alone, lonely, regretful. Now you're facing the truth about why you're still feeling this way. You could have tried to avoid it, work through it, use some other coping mechanisms to deal with whatever this energy is, which is not pleasant. There's sadness, grief, depression, isolation, regrets, crying over spilled milk or spilled water, not being able to release the past. And you weren't able to do that because you were using other things to cope with these feelings of loss. You were using, again, your work projects. You were trying to avoid going through this emotional turmoil. I think so in the process of you burying those emotions, you could have created this chronic depression. This is chronic low-grade depression. And this situation could have happened so long ago, you don't understand. You forgot why you're in this space, or you forgot exactly what led you to feeling this general sense of just dejection and malaise and apathy about life in general. So you're taking time to reevaluate and reassess and analyze past experiences that have you in this space consistently. So this is not one incident, or this is not something that happened recently. This is something that may have happened a long time ago, months, years ago. You've pushed it down, buried it. You see, this is underneath the grass. This grass, it's been buried underground. So you've buried this trauma in your heart, this pain for a long time, and You just kept going. But over time, like this seed you planted, the seed of depression and grief and loss, it kept growing. And it grew into depression and apathy and anxiety and a lack of enthusiasm for life. And now you're trying to figure out how to get back to a good space. So you're taking a break from people. You're disconnecting, turning off social media, not answering your phone, resting, relaxing, trying to heal. The Ten of Cups, yeah, this could be the end of a long relationship or a divorce that happened a while ago. Page of Swords. The Page of Swords represents like research, getting information about something, trying to understand why something happened. So we have the swords where the cups are and the cups where the sword is. Trying to identify the mind-body connection that is causing this this depression. And I think you know by now that for you, things kind of went downhill after you lost a loved one, after a relationship ended. A family dynamic could have broke apart. This could be the divorce of parents. This could be your own divorce. And life has been different since then. You've worked through it. You've worked. You've done things. You've been productive. You've gone to school. You've gone to work. You've had your own life. But this hole is still in your heart. And now you're trying to understand why you're here all the time. You haven't fully healed yet. So you're reminiscing about the past, about your childhood potentially, about a family dynamic, about a marriage that ended a while ago. And again, at the time the situation happened where something ended, you did not process those emotions in a holistic way. You just buried them and kept going because you had no other choice. You had bills to pay, you have responsibilities to take care of. You can't just wallow in pain and depression and misery. You have to get up and keep going. But you've noticed that since that incident, since that ending, your life hasn't been the same. You've changed. You're not as hopeful, you're not as enthusiastic, you're not as happy. You're not as happy. And now you're trying to understand why. You're giving yourself time to heal and reflect. Clarify the Four of Swords, please. The Four of Swords and the Five of Cups. The Nine of Swords in reverse. Yeah, you were in a state of anxiety and fear and guilt for quite a while. And I'm free. Okay. So you guys try to free your heart of this, of something that's deeply rooted into it. Some grief that's been deeply rooted into your heart for a long time. This looks like a nest, but it also looks like roots. And the heart is here. You're trying to cut out the roots and the weeds that are attached to this memory or this experience that has you in this Nine of Swords space. And you're working through it. You go from 9 to 4. Finally. It's been a long time. The Mercury retrograde cycle is actually helping because Saturn is making an opposition to Mercury at this time, and so is Neptune. Not by degree, but by sign. And Mercury in Virgo is very analytical. And with the retrograde, this is internal, subjective, more so personal analysis. clarify the Nine of Swords in reverse, please. Queen of Wands, Three of Swords, Knight of Wands. Okay. A relationship could have ended due to an affair, mistress. There was some betrayal in that arena. You could be the mistress or the person that you were involved with, married to, left you for a mistress. That situation really put a knife through your heart. But again, you have to keep going. You can't just sit here and wallow in self-pity. Could be a Scorpio involved with this, with the Five of Cups. Knight of Wands is Sagittarius energy, and the Queen of Wands is Aries energy. There's Three Swords here as well. So yeah, there was some heartache or some grief or some disappointment that happened in the past and you did not process it. You buried it underground and you thought that you had killed it. But no, this was a seed that was sprouting weeds and other poisonous fruit that was draining your energy. You felt depleted, tired, depressed. You weren't yourself. On the surface, things seem okay, right? You were working, going to school, being productive. But underneath the surface, you just did not have the same zest or zeal for life as you used to. This is chronic depression. And it lasted for so long, you forgot how you used to be. You forgot who you used to be before this incident happened. Before you went through this loss, you forgot who you used to be. And now you're trying to learn about yourself. Some of you guys are journaling. You're writing down your experiences to figure out how you got here. You're trying to reverse engineer or map out or deconstruct your life experiences to see if they align with whatever this energy is, and to find out how you got here. You're trying to get out of this space. You're trying to climb out of this hole. But you have to bury yourself in the hole before you climb out of it. And you have to bury yourself within the hole to basically pull out the roots of this seed. Or pull out the fruit, or just cut out the weeds and the fruit and all the nasty energy that you buried in this hole. So you're climbing in this hole to discover, to find out what the source of the problem is. It's that kind of dark night of the soul energy. But this is setting you up for a major transformation. You're kind of burying yourself or an old aspect of your identity. You're burying this grief, but not hiding it. So what you're doing is you're identifying the source of the problem, which is the seed and the fruits that it bore. And you're looking at this hole, and you're sort of like pulling everything out. You're diving into the hole to pull it because it's so deep. You have to dive into the hole yourself and just like clean the whole area out. Clean the hole out. And then you get so tired you fall asleep in the hole because it's really deep. This is almost like being reborn or rebirthing yourself. We have this circular energy here, which is like a womb energy. It deals with cycles and fertility and patterns of behavior. Also a circle here. So you're burying yourself in this hole to not just identify the source of the problem, but to get rid of it for once and for all. And once you get rid of it, then you'll be able to transform. So then you'll be able to bury it, right, properly. So it's almost like giving something a proper burial. You did not bury these, or you didn't resolve these feelings in a holistic way. You buried them without dealing with them, but it was still alive. So it still grew into, again, depression and anxiety and apprehension and toxic dysfunctional behaviors, addictions, self-destructive behaviors and attitudes. You buried it, but now you're jumping into the hole to identify this, or to find the seed or the root of the problem, so you can cut it up, dig it out, and then clean it properly, and then give it a proper burial. That's what I'm going to title this. Giving this a proper burial. You're burying an aspect of yourself that's connected with the past and all of the negative energy, memories, behavior associated with the life that you've cultivated as you were trying to cope with this trauma that you did not resolve. So this is almost like having your life went on a whole different path than you expected due to this traumatic experience, and you're now reflecting back to who you were before this experience happened and realizing that this is not who I was. This is never me. I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not a womanizer. I'm not, a sexual deviant. I'm not a drug addict. I'm not a prostitute. Like all of those behaviors that you have adopted to deal with this issue, you're burying that person. But you have to dig up the dead body of that experience, of that trauma. Identify, when it happened. When did I kill this part of myself? When did I bury this part of my identity? Right? So you kind of buried yourself. And now you have to go back into the past and dig yourself up out of this hole, because your dead body has created all these weeds and nasty energy that is still controlling you. It's still attached to you. It's kind of morbid, but that's the image I'm getting here. So there's a lot of regret. You made a lot of mistakes, but those mistakes were not who you truly are. They were a trauma response. You were reacting to something that was really difficult for you to deal with at the time. And so to avoid dealing with the pain of that experience, you it's almost like having a split personality. You could have developed some sort of personality disorder. You could have, I don't know, some of you guys may be bipolar or have narcissistic tendencies, dissociative identity disorders, where there's a split personality because at one point you made a decision, either consciously or unconsciously, to become someone totally different that would not have to feel whatever this is. But since then, you have gone through multiple experiences that are quite similar to what you tried to avoid healing from in the past. So now you're like, why am I going through the same thing over and over again? I thought I grew. I thought I matured. I thought I healed. You did not heal. When you look into this hole, you're going to see your body in it. Not literally, figuratively. When you look into the hole of this past experience, this is like an emotional void or a grave. When you look into this grave, you'll see yourself in this grave. You'll see who you used to be before you became this other person who was using sex or drugs or work or some other dysfunctional behavior to cope with the trauma of this experience. I'm hearing Kid Cudi's song. There's a new song called, I think it's called The Chunky, I believe. And in the chorus he says, "In my heart I'm free. In my heart I'm free." So you guys are going into a grave that you dug up, where you put your old body, and you're digging up that grave. looking at the dead body and giving it a proper burial. You didn't bury it properly the last time. You just walked away from the issue. Like you closed off your heart, or you, again, changed your personality, your identity, you changed your life path, and then you walked away, as opposed to dealing with whatever trauma brought you to this point in the first place. And you're realizing, wow, I'm still here. So in some cases, the body may be rotten, right? The dead body may be rotten, but it's still causing issues. In other cases, you'll find yourself completely preserved and whole. So you may find yourself in this hole. Your inner child could be here. Or, again, in some cases, you could be burying. There could be, this is kind of weird, but there could be a swap. Oh, this is kind of deep, but okay, there could be a swap. You could be throwing away who you became after this traumatic event and sort of like unveiling or liberating the body you buried in this soil or in this hole. So there's two identities here. There's the you that came to be after this trauma that you did not want to resolve, and the you who you were before this trauma. Before this betrayal, before this abuse, before this something that happened that shattered your identity and forced you to split, either mentally or psychologically, and that changed your life trajectory. Something's getting buried. There's two people here. Somebody's burying who they became as a result of some sort of trauma, or to cope with some trauma, and they're digging up who they used to be. Someone's going to the grave of who they were. They're going back into the past, and they're giving themselves a proper burial by relinquishing who they once were. I need some more insight for the Four of Swords and the Five of Cups, please. The Queen of Pentacles. If you notice, this Queen of Pentacles is surrounded by lush green trees, grass. She's above ground, sitting on a throne that may be made out of rock or stone. It's a possibility, I don't know. Maybe not. There's a cushion here. She's above ground. Somebody's below ground. Not literally, figuratively. Somebody's been hiding from the world. They've been hiding themselves. They've buried themselves. Someone buried themselves a long time ago. And now they're getting prepared to reemerge as the Queen of Pentacles. So this is a healthy tree, a healthy garden, right? This is a healthy harvest. Someone who's fruitful and productive. This is Capricorn energy. This is a woman who's healed, or man who's healed themselves, and now they know their value. And because they know their value, they can add value to others. Some of you guys could have been going through, I think, so this whole experience was probably triggered by some sort of loss or like a block, either in your career, your finances, your relationships. Something was constantly blocking you from what you thought would make you happy. You kept doing things that you thought were going to bring you a certain level of fulfillment and success, but it wasn't working, and you didn't understand why it wasn't working. So you were forced to go back. Four of Swords, Five of Cups. And when you went back, you realized that I'm not myself. I'm constantly feeling out of alignment, disconnected from my body, in a sense. There's two bodies here, two identities, two something, two personalities, two minds. There's a split between the mind and the heart. Some of you guys could have Mercury Moon opposition in your chart, or Mercury Moon square, or Mercury Moon in conjunction. There's a disconnection between your feelings and your thoughts. So you don't act in a way that is in alignment with you accomplishing your goals in an easy way. There's always a struggle. You're contradicting yourself. You may sabotage yourself. You may second guess yourself a lot. That's so you have to go back to where you buried yourself. Dig yourself up out of the ground. Bury the new person you created to cope with whatever trauma you've been through that caused you to bury that old part of who you were. And you're going to give yourself a proper burial so you can become the Queen of Pentacles. So you will use the body of this new person you've created, this new identity, as fertilizer for the Queen of Pentacles. Your old body is becoming fertilizer for your new life. Your old identity is fertilizer for your new life. You're getting back to your roots. Now, again, this could be the other way around for some people. Some people could have started off as trash human beings, right? Abusive, violent, drug addicted, whatever. They cause a lot of harm. And they're burying that aspect of themselves to, they're burying the shame associated with those events. The shame of, hurting people, the shame of making mistakes in the past. They're burying that shame to embrace a new version of themselves. They've tried to do better, and they're now burying that old body that was sort of an expression of the way they were coping with their trauma, which was in a detrimental, self-destructive way. Not only were they destroying themselves, they were destroying other people too. So some people are doing the other thing. They're going the other way. They're burying the bad guy and sort of like exhuming the good guy. Some are burying the good guy. No, not burying the guy. The bad guy is being buried. The false identity is being buried either way. The false identity is being buried. And some of you guys are reconnecting to either connecting to who you want to be, who you're aspiring to be, or who you once were, depending on your situation. Because some people have different paths, right? Some people started out being knuckleheads in life, and then they changed. But they were still ashamed of what they did when they were in the knucklehead phase. Some people start out being angels, and then they changed. And they're going back to rescue that angel, that child that they buried, to cope with whatever this was, 5 of Cups energy. And they're using that old or undesirable identity as fertilizer for this Queen of Pentacles. Smoking good, my homie off the trees. More insight for the collective, spirit guides, please. More insight for the collective. Thank you for this message. Thank you very much. I hope it helps someone out there. So this speaks to you forgiving yourself. Imagination. Draw from the well of your own capabilities. This is you seeing the value within yourself. You forgot who you were. You see all these bright colors, purples and oranges and yellows. You forgot who you were. Underneath that, ending a trauma. God is good. Ending a trauma. Transform memories and symptoms. Wow. You see the difference in the colors? This is bland, dull, kind of dead, dry, no life. And then we have imagination. So some of you guys are visualizing or imagining who you used to be. You're going back to the past. This is the Five of Cups and the Four of Swords, reminiscing about who you were, trying to emotionally connect to, or using your mind to traverse backwards to emotionally connect with who you were in the past, or using your mind to go forward to connect with who you want to be in the future. Ending a trauma. Transform memories and symptoms. Symptoms of what? Depression, personality disorder, identity disorder, mental health issues, addictions, right? Shame. All of that is tied to this Five of Cups here. Something that you buried in the past. Whatever it is you buried was still haunting you. Or again, you may feel compelled to bury an aspect of your identity that you've cultivated to cope with some sort of trauma. So you became the bad guy. You became the villain. And you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to be a good person. I want to do the right thing. So however you were behaving in the past, you're burying that dysfunctional person. On the other hand, like I said, if you buried your inner child, you buried your innocence, your goodness, your kindness, you buried that. You're excavating, or you're exhuming that body and burying the adult or the person you became to cope with that trauma. This is an amazing message. Spirit guides, more context, please, for this message. Another message for the collective. Another message for the collective, please. One more thing. What is the most limiting belief keeping me from what I want right now? So again, this is a low-grade depression. This is apprehension, apathy, insecurity. All the negative emotions associated with trauma. Anger, fear, paranoia, shame. Right? Those are limitations. Or those are creating limitations for you. So whenever you try to go towards a specific goal, whether it's a relationship or a career or some sort of, I don't know, something you want, you can't get it. Something you really want. Something you think will make you feel like happy and secure and fulfilled. You're not, it's like it's always out of reach. Like a carrot on a stick. This heart is on a stick. What story are you telling yourself? When you think about your dreams, what is the first limiting thought that comes to your mind? Imagination. Draw from the well of your own capabilities. So again, this is the heart and the mind coming into alignment. As a way to heal trauma. You're integrating the shadow part of yourself. Or you're burying it properly. You're giving it a proper burial. Either burial or integration, which can be one and the same thing. There's metamorphosis and transformation. That's the goal, right? That's the Four of Swords and the Five of Cups. If you are not living the life you desire, it's because a part of you doesn't believe it's possible. That part of you is the Five of Cups. Shame, anger, guilt, self-doubt, paranoia, fear, regret, sadness. Today's soul action. It's time to upgrade. Look your belief in the eye. Where did it come from? Where did this come from? Where did this self-doubt, this self-hatred, this animosity toward yourself, this self-destructive behavior, all this negativity, where did it come from? What new belief are you ready to adopt in its place? How will this change your results? Remember, your belief is the root of your result. Your belief is the root. Four of Swords. I kept mentioning roots and roots and roots. Own it and heal it. Healing your roots. Digging up a dead body. Not a dead body. Digging up a body. right? Digging up an old aspect of your identity or who you used to be. Not literally. Again, figuratively. Own it, heal it, upgrade it. You have to free your heart of something. But your mind has to help you do that, because you have to identify the experience. Right? You have to be able to use your reasoning, your objective, your logical faculties to identify the experience that is linked to that emotion. Emotions don't really have intellect per se. They're not very objective or rational. So you may be confusing one experience with another. This is emotions are very muddy. You need your intellect to sort of give structure to your emotions. You need to use both. Some of you guys have been too much in your head and not enough in your heart, or vice versa. Too much in your feelings and not enough in your head. So you need the support of your head to help your heart to heal, right? Identify what was the experience that led me to this point where I'm not living life the way I should be. I'm operating out of trauma. I'm in a state of panic and anxiety and fear and a lack of faith and trust in God. I don't believe in myself. I don't believe in God anymore, right? Something like that. I hope I was clear. Okay. Another message, please, and then I'll get... Yeah, this Kid Cudi song is in my head. I think it's called Chunky. Sensuality. Express your sensuality. You see how the green, lush energy here? Some of you guys could be celibate. Some of you guys could have just been having sex. Just, casual sex with no emotion attached to it. Right? Could be sex addicts. People just have sex for the sake of the sensation. They're not really connecting with their partner. That's also a trauma response. 7 heavenly virtues. The keys to goodness. Let me look that up. 7 heavenly virtues. And what are they? The 7 heavenly virtues are chastity, patience, humility, temperance, charity, diligence, and kindness. You hear chastity, I hear about this sensuality thing. Just because you're having sex with someone doesn't mean you're intimate with them. So you have become chaste in a sense where you've refrained from intimacy from people, even though you're, again, having sex with people. Potentially, some of you guys can be celibate and say F everybody. But you've been trying to guard your heart and not become too intimate with anyone on an emotional level. So you're having sex with people, but you're not really connecting with them in that way. Right? So the 7 heavenly virtues are chastity, patience, humility, temperance, charity, diligence, and kindness. And the 7 heavenly virtues were supposed to be the opposite of the 7 deadly sins, which are lust, idolatry, greed, discord, indulgence, wrath, and pride. And some of you are burying a person or sort of an aspect of your identity that exemplified all these qualities. Lustful, idolatry, greed, discord, indulgence, wrath, and pride. You're burying all those traits because they're not bringing you what you want and need. You could have felt like you had to be this way to become powerful and respected and successful, and to feel like you were in control of your life, to deal with this trauma, the trauma of unexpected endings, of betrayal, of abuse, all that stuff. Of poverty even, and you cultivated this alter ego that you're burying at this point. You're burying an alter ego. And you're exhuming the body of who you were who you were. One more card, please, for the collective. 1313. Starting fresh. I haven't seen this card before. Encouragement, goals, foundation, creative ventures, communication. Step out of your comfort zone. You are about to create something meaningful. Draw from the well of your own capabilities. This is the Queen of Pentacles. Some of you are creating a new life and a new identity. A new way of making money. A new way of expressing yourself. That is authentic. That's not the alter ego. That was a mask that you've created from trauma. All your skills and talents will bring you auspicious profits. Build up your confidence and trust in your decisions. Okay? All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I hope this message helped you all. If you want to order your own personal tarot reading or astrology reading, the link is in the description box. I look forward to reading your feedback. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon.